because, as we all know, that's where you grab the casual fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you really turn people into soccer fans.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in Kansas City for the last World Cup, chaps, and I'm still immensely proud of what we achieved in that market, because when I got there, nobody gave two hoots about soccer at all. It was not a thing. And we changed everything, what seemed like overnight.
Mm-hmm.
That stadium changed everything. Winning obviously helped, but what everybody did in the front office there, and what Peter Vermees and Kerry Zavagnin did with that team, it changed everything. So I think it's one of them where I think if we have more examples like that, then the league is going to continue to grow, undoubtedly. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. But I just remember being in that market for the World Cup and seeing there's an area in Kansas City called the Power and Light District, and there was big screens up and everything. There were 10,000 people packed inside this little area, and they were going crazy. They were going insane. I remember going and watching the game against Ghana.
Yes.
And that was an unbelievable experience.
Oh,
that was exactly John Brooks, and I've seen people jumping up like never before. And but the one where I really think the attention was grabbed, and it's a real shame the US didn't win the game, was against Portugal. Because I think there were a lot of people in the United States who were sort of casual fans. They maybe didn't follow soccer that much, but they knew who Cristiano Ronaldo was.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the US against Ronaldo. So they would watch.
Mm-hmm.
And when there was a goal scored by Dempsey inside the first, 90 seconds or something?
Yes.
I remember thinking to myself, this is a gargantuan moment for US soccer, because there's so many new people to soccer here, and people in the past who've said it's boring because there's not enough goals and not enough scoring and blah, blah, blah. This is humongous because they're switched on, they're engaged, because Dempsey has scored a goal inside the first 90 seconds, and the US soccer market had grabbed them in. They grabbed them by the scruff of the neck and grabbed them in. And I remember watching the game with a good friend of mine, a guy who writes for NBC called Andy Edwards, and the two of us threw our arms around each other. And I remember being in tears. I remember just having a few tears drop down. And I just remember thinking to myself, this is arguably one of the biggest moments in this soccer history, in this country's soccer history. And I just think we're going to miss out on that now. 2018 we're not going to have that moment. We're not going to have that sort of situation. So I'll, if you don't mind, chaps, I'll use this platform to say to people, go and support your Major League Soccer team. Go and support your USL team. Because the simple fact of the matter is that if you want your league, if you want MLS to be as big as the Premier League and as successful as the Bundesliga and as flashy as La Liga, you have to go to the games. You have to go and put your bum on a seat, and you have to watch on TV. Because if you put your bum on a seat, that instantly means there's revenue going into the club. That instantly means they'll use that revenue to either add to their academy, which the league is doing very well now, or they're going to buy a superstar player. And it also looks very good on television as well. So that means a full stadium on TV always looks good regardless of the sport, but particularly in Major League Soccer.
Absolutely.
If you have a full stadium, that product looks good, which means it's going to be more valuable to TV companies who want to broadcast the league. They will pay a shed load of money then for the league to be on their network. And again, that means more money for academies, more money for superstars, instantly meaning Major League Soccer is better. So again, if fans want this league to be as good, if soccer fans in this country want their league to be as good as the other leagues in Europe, you've got to go to the games. It's as simple as that.
No, absolutely. I mean, not to do story time from my end, but I remember the Portugal game, and we were at a bar with my buddies and this older guy looks at me and he goes, they were down 1-0 against Portugal's second half, and he's no chance. Then Jones scores. I believe Dempsey got the second. I mean, I've never seen a bunch of people jump up and down like that and just hold each other. Callum, I know you gotta get going somewhere. Where can we find your stuff? Obviously, we can listen to you on the Minnesota United.
I listen to Callum all the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I watch Minnesota United, I hear Callum all the time. So if you have MLS Live or whatever the hell it's gonna be called this year, if you tune on Minnesota United broadcast, you'll hear Callum on the air.
Yeah, and it's fabulous, chaps. And apologies that I've got to leave. I've actually got to go because of a television meeting, and
there you go.
Hopefully we can announce our television partner very soon. So we're very excited about that. But yeah, you can find me on MLS Live if you're listening elsewhere. But in Minnesota, there will be a television announcement very soon. And you can find me on Twitter at CalWilliams.com.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, Callum.
Thanks, Callum.
Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too. I can't believe we're still missing out on the World Cup. Like, it gets worse and worse as we get closer.
Yeah, it does. I kind of just realized that after Callum mentioned it, so I'm a little bummed out now. But
I don't know. Have we undervalued MLS? You and I? Have we on this show undervalued MLS?
I feel like I haven't, but I feel like you have, or had.
I had for a long time. I switched, obviously.
Yes.
But
for those who don't know, I'm giving some background. Steven really, really disliked MLS.
But I went to the games.
I would. Hey, no. Let me talk. I would be like, yeah, Steven, blah blah blah, and he'd be like, huh, and walk away. And when he used to do his old podcast, it would be blah. Yeah, let's crap on MLS or something. But I mean, I think it is undervalued across the world. It does still have some work to do, but I mean, especially with the signings they're making this season, I think this might be. I mean, I feel like we keep saying this, but this might be the biggest MLS year yet.
Well, hopefully every year, you want to continue to repeat that. No, but my issue with MLS was my ass were in those seats. I went to FC Dallas ever since I'd moved to Dallas. That was never my issue. I followed the club. I thought it was unique. I played around. At the time, it was Pizza Hut Park, so the fields around there, I played there. It was never that. My problem was there was nobody else in the stadium, and I wanted that soccer experience. And let me tell you, Armand, I don't know if I've said this on the show, but that game, it was the World Cup in 2014. That's when soccer culture hit me here in America. Callum, you had to be in tears. If you had gone to any of those bars, whether it was in Atlanta or Kansas City had a huge one, Milwaukee, Dallas had multiple watching areas, Boston to L.A., if you were in a cramped place and you were singing, I mean, the opening to this show is a bunch of guys and gals yelling USA, USA, USA. That's real audio. That isn't made up. That is real passion from real fans. And we are totally missing out again on that experience. It sucks.
It sucks. I think it sucks, but it's the reality of the situation. We can say it sucks all you want.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's why we're having these presidential elections, and that's why it's such a big issue. That's why we have all these discussions about Pro Rel for USA. That's why we have all these discussions about the women's league, youth development, this and that. It's all the failure of missing the World Cup masked all these issues that we had, and now.
Well, here's the thing. I saw a tweet somebody. Now I wish I could go back and get it, but basically they're saying was, if the USA had qualified for the World Cup, would these things still be relevant though?
Pro Rel for USA has always been relevant. I've seen them tweet out multiple times. That hashtag I've seen everywhere ever. Youth development, I feel like everyone talks about for some the poor youth development in the US, and I mean, I think that's still an issue. I mean, women's soccer, I feel like they all have been issues, but they wouldn't have been as magnified as they are right now. I think that's the right terminology for that, because we missed the World Cup. All of a sudden, you're like, well, what the hell went wrong? It And it can't be a one-off thing like, oh, we had a bad qualifying. That's a terrible excuse. And that shouldn't be used as an excuse. So you have to look deeper and deeper. There was obviously some issues. And we mentioned when we talked about relegation, the issue of a lack of pressure on certain players.
Yeah.
In a game where you need to win or you go home and basically are relegated, they didn't win. They couldn't get a point. Plain and simple, no pressure. We have issues. We have some issues with the youth development in terms of casting a bigger net. Not in terms of the players who develop. The players who develop are obviously very good.
See, but you're hitting on a thing. It's not the fact that we're not developing talented players. We are. It's the fact that they're slipping through our fingers. It's like U.S. soccer is basically a child who grabs their hand, puts it in the sand, and lifts up. That's the current system, and we need some sort of net that all the falling players that are leaving, Jonathan Gonzalez to Mexico, that doesn't happen. But, this extends into qualifying for the Olympics, into these other events that helps the youth realize there's a pathway up to the A team. But Callum was wonderful, brilliant stuff. We could have spent 2 hours with him discussing these issues.
No, yeah, and I think one of the most fascinating things is what he mentioned towards the beginning when he talked about Fabian Castillo, and that being mentioned in a pub in England. And meanwhile, over here in Dallas, I got my first thing in MLS media was to cover the Fabian Castillo saga in terms of his transfer. I mean, even then, it wasn't like big news here. I guess.
Well, I don't think anybody cared, honestly. If I remember correctly, it was kind of like, oh, Castillo wants out. Who blames him? It's Dallas. Not a good. That's the thing. It's if fans. I'm talking to the fans now. If they want their club to be successful, do your part. Go to the games, as Callum said. Go watch the games on television. I got the television numbers in front of me for the last week. This is brought to you by World Soccer Talk. Armand, do you know how many people watched the Premier League on Newcastle versus Man City on January 20th?
500,000.
964,000.
Oh, I forgot Man City. Everyone watches them.
But that's huge. It's a huge number when they're playing Newcastle. Everton,
but also you have to realize they're also on network TV at that point.
Well, that's true. Okay, fine.
They're on NBC.
Spurs Everton.
What time of the day was that?
That doesn't tell me, but it was on the 13th, so the week before.
13th. So that was on a Sunday. So it's probably it was a late cap, I guess. I bet you 700,000.
959.
Damn. Why can't I get that? Okay,
but these are huge numbers.
No, I agree.
These are huge TV numbers because typically they range about 500,000, and then when it's City or versus Chelsea, it's huge. Think about it.
Now people will tell you they'll make that excuse that those are in the morning. You have time to watch that. So let's jump to the afternoon. If you look at the Liga MX games, their numbers are massive.
Well, tell me them. Liga MX.
One.
This is Pumas
That's
versus
a top watch game.
Pumas versus America. 1,172,000.
That's a regular season game.
And that's all on Univision too. If ESPN tapped, think about how much bigger that number would be. People are watching soccer in America. Why are they not doing it with MLS? It's a lot easier to go out a Saturday night at 8 p.m. in Frisco or 7 p.m. in Colorado, drive out to the stadium, to the game. The tickets aren't expensive. They're $25. I guarantee you, if you make a connection with the club, you can get a discount. It's mind-baffling, and Callum is 100% right. We need more asses in seats.
Why do you think people don't watch MLS?
3 things. 1, they undervalue it. 2, I think the stadium thing... So, okay, they undervalue it because they watch on television the stadiums aren't full. Why would I go to an atmosphere that kills?
Well, I'm saying, why don't they watch it on TV? Because even the TV ratings right now, they haven't grown substantially. They've kind of lagged. Well, that makes any sense. There's only been 200,000 watching insert game here versus throwing a game here versus throwing a game there. Why do you think that's the case?
No, but
undervalue, I'm sure, is one.
TV numbers. TV numbers in NFL have dropped though. Its numbers